More than 100 people die every minute. Therefore, the chances of you being affected by death are almost guaranteed. My name is Clancy, and I've been researching death for the past few months. Not only have I been researching death, but I've also experienced death firsthand by having many loved ones pass away. I've concluded that there's really two different types of people when it comes to death. There's type A and type B. Type A likes to plan things. So they plan their funeral, their will, everything they can. Who's going to communicate between the nurse and them if they're no longer able to, who they're going to say goodbye to first and last. They plan it all. While the second person does not want to address death. They want to live in the moment and they don't want to think about dying. They think that time is on their side. And I know it might sound crazy to plan your death, but it really is helpful for your family and for yourself afterwards if they know what you want. Eugene O'Kelly, a New York businessman, wrote the story called Chasing Daylight. The story explores the mentality of a New York businessman. He always was working super hard to provide for his family and for his retirement. But when he found out he was not going to reach retirement, his whole life changed. Instead of living in the future, Eugene O'Kelly was taking it day by day. His biggest goal was to make it to his daughter's first day of middle school. And you're thinking, well, wow, that sounds depressing, as a normal American would. But no, Eugene O'Kelly wasn't thinking that way. He looked at it as a blessing to live in the moment and to take the opportunity to plan his death exactly the way he wanted it to be. Because death is just another chapter in his life for him. He didn't look at death as this dark, mysterious place like most Americans do. He was optimistic, which helped the family get through the pain. Think about death. You really don't know what dying feels like, so why not just embrace life and take it day by day? But I wanted to see more of what Americans thought, so I read another story called A Mother's Story, Overcoming Death. This story explored the death of a young girl and how her family was heartbroken because they did not expect her death. Years later, they would still expect to see her somehow. They would miss her and go up to her room and just sob. But that's really not going to help the problem. Americans need to realize that death is just a new chapter in life. No one has been there. No one living here has been dead in the ground for years. So how do we know how horrible it is? If it is this peaceful, magical place, then what do we have to be afraid of? And trust me, I know it's hard to step out of that whole American mentality that death is this horrible place. But it's possible. I lost my aunt to breast cancer, and the journey was extremely long and very hard. To see her in the different stages of chemotherapy and losing her hair and losing her breast and all the things that come along with breast cancer, you know, it hurts. It's sad. You worry for the person, but at the same time, she knew her time was coming. So she planned everything out, and even though she wasn't going to be there for her grandchildren to go to school and grow up, she still planned and she still wrote them letters, and she lived her life. She didn't stop living just because she got diagnosed with a disease. So my Aunt Sharon continued to live on, and she made a bucket list of all the places she wanted to go and things she did while she was still feeling okay and able to function. So we did them. I went to Disney World with her, and the memories that I have are unforgettable. They're not sad memories, they're happy memories. You just have to think about the positive things when it comes to death. You don't have to think that it's a scary, horrible place, because guess what? It's not. I think that with my belief, she's out of pain and she's out of the worry of what the next chemotherapy is going to do to her. By knowing that you're at peace, your family becomes at peace. By knowing you have a plan, your family takes some of the worry off their shoulders. So talk about death. Don't be the type 2 person where you don't want to talk about death. You're scared about talking about death. Every day your life is at risk. You could be that teenager in One Mother's Story, Overcoming Death. You know that you're putting your life at risk, so why don't you talk to your parents and say, well, if I died, I'd want to be buried here, and my allowance to go to this person, make sure you tell this person I love them, and etc. Why not? By watching this video, I hope you came to the realization that death doesn't have to be this horrible place that most Americans make it out to be. Talk about death and plan your death. It will be much easier on your family and yourself. And if you know you're going to go somewhere, you usually plan for it.